Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to talk about all the various illusory meanings that we attach to time, often turning it into a source of suffering, instead of a tool for example, measuring, coordinating, planning, or setting goals. Perhaps you're saying things like, "There's never enough time," or "It feels like I have to wait forever." These are sure signs that you've attached psychological meaning to time. Likewise, when you're caught up in past regrets or worries about the future, you've become ensnared in psychological time. In our daily lives, time, although not the fixed, relentless force that many make it out to be, is an essential element that guides us, from our schedules to our goals and aspirations. But when we delve deeper into the concept of time, we find that there are two distinct types of time, at least as far as our perception goes. And since life is an inner game, perception is to a large extent what truly counts. These two distinct types of time are clock time and psychological time. Understanding the difference between these can significantly impact your life, particularly in how you experience the present moment, deal with stress, and navigate your spiritual journey. Clock time refers to the chronological passage of time measured by the clock and calendar. It is the practical framework within which we operate in the physical world. Clock time helps you organize your day, plan for the future, and learn from the past. Without clock time, you wouldn't be able to function in society, as the tasks you perform often depend on precise timings and schedules, even if it could be worthwhile to ask ourselves if this is really how life is meant to be lived. Be that as it may, whether it's setting an alarm for work, attending an appointment, or planning a future event, clock time is the tool that enables you to coordinate your activities with others and maintain a sense of order in your life. However, clock time becomes problematic when it turns into psychological time. We've already hinted at what it is, but it's now time to delve a little deeper into it. Psychological time is the mental construct of time that you create through your thoughts, and it often becomes a source of anxiety, regret, or unease. Here's the big difference. While clock time is, at least at present, something you can do little about, psychological time is just something that takes place inside your head, just like so many other things that cause problems in our lives and us to suffer. Yes, when you dwell on past events, reliving mistakes or missed opportunities, which usually causes grief and depression, you are trapped in psychological time. Similarly, when you worry and feel anxious about the future, anticipating potential problems or outcomes, you are also caught in this mental construct. Unlike clock time, which is necessary for practical living, psychological time tends to pull you away from the present moment, leading to suffering. What is needed in order to break free from the illusion that most live under is to see through all the artificial meanings that the mind projects onto the experiences that pass through consciousness. Tolle emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment, which is the only true reality. The past and future, as experienced through psychological time, are mere illusions created by the mind. When you focus too much on what has been, or what is yet to come, you lose touch with the now, where life actually unfolds. The present moment is all you ever truly have, and it is where you can find peace and contentment. By shifting your attention away from psychological time and into the present, you can alleviate much of the mental and emotional suffering that stems from dwelling on what you cannot change or control. What you will also notice is that, usually, there are no problems in the present moment. And if something demands your immediate attention, you will usually not have the mental resources to feel anxious or depressed about it. Psychological time also contributes to the formation of the ego. The ego thrives on identification with the past and future, as it is built upon the stories you tell yourself about who you are, based on your memories and expectations. The more you invest in these stories, the more you reinforce the ego, which separates you from the essence of who you truly are, infinite, eternal consciousness expressing itself individually. The ego's attachment to psychological time is what keeps you in a state of discontent, always seeking something outside yourself for fulfillment, whether in the future or through the interpretation of past events. To free yourself from the grip of the ego, you must become aware of how psychological time operates within you. This requires vigilance and a commitment to staying present. When you notice your thoughts drifting into past regrets or future anxieties, gently bring your attention back to the now. It's not about rejecting clock time or practical planning, but about understanding that your true self exists beyond the mental constructs of past and future. By staying rooted in the present moment, you can weaken the ego's hold on your consciousness and experience a deeper sense of peace and clarity. The good news is that if you understand this, even if it's just vaguely, on an intuitive level, the shift has already begun in you, and you will find that you more and more naturally align with this process, even if you can make adjustments to make it smoother, which you will do if you apply what you learn in this video. It's also worth mentioning that this is connected with the survival mode that we are now moving out of as we go through our spiritual awakenings. If you're caught in this type of stressed mindset, where you're trying to avoid potential dangers in the future by thinking about them, maybe using past experiences as a means to do so, you are again caught in psychological time, and you're coming at it from a place of survival. Recognize that the past doesn't exist anymore, and that most things we fear from the future never come to pass, and you will be able to approach whatever comes your way in a much calmer and practical manner. Let's explore this a little further. We've already stated that the liberation from psychological time begins with the realization that the present moment is all you ever have. When you truly grasp this, you can start to let go of the need to constantly mentally project yourself into the past or future. You begin to see that life is not something that happens to you in some other time, but is always unfolding right now. This shift in perception can transform the way you experience life, making you more present, aware, and in tune with the flow of existence. From this place, you will be able to take conscious, deliberate action in line with this flow, rather than trying to fight reality, demanding that your circumstances bend to the will of your ego. Yes, this is what the ego does when you're caught up in its grip. Tolle points out that the mind has a tendency to resist the present moment because it is conditioned to identify with psychological time. The mind is always seeking some future event, some goal or outcome that it believes will bring fulfillment. But this fulfillment is always just out of reach because the future never arrives as the mind imagines it. When the future becomes the present, the mind quickly shifts its focus to the next anticipated moment, perpetuating a cycle of dissatisfaction. This is why it is so important to cultivate presence and to break free from the tyranny of psychological time. By becoming more aware of the difference between clock time and psychological time, you can start to disentangle yourself from the patterns of thought that keep you locked in a state of unease. This awareness is not about negating the past or ignoring the future, but about seeing them for what they are: mental constructs that have no reality in the present moment. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. Only the now is real. And memory is also prone to error, by the way. At the times when you still have to plan, do it from a place of presence, fully aware of the now, rather than as a way to escape the present moment. When you reflect on the past, do it with the understanding that it is not who you are, but simply a collection of memories that can offer lessons for the present, but which are so easy to start building an identity around and judge and evaluate ourselves based on them. It's also important to recognize that the mind's attachment to psychological time is deeply ingrained and won't disappear overnight. This is a gradual process that requires patience and perseverance. But with consistent practice, you can begin to notice when you are slipping into psychological time and gently guide yourself back to the present moment. This doesn't mean that you will never think about the past or future again, but that you will do so with a greater sense of awareness and detachment. The ego is also tied to psychological time through how this creates a sense of separation from others and from the world around you. The ego, which is essentially a false sense of self, is constructed through identification with thoughts, emotions, and experiences that are rooted in psychological time. This identification creates a barrier between you and the present moment, as the ego is always seeking to protect and enhance itself through comparison, judgment, and accumulation. By breaking free from psychological time, you can begin to dissolve the ego and experience a deeper connection with life. This connection is not something that can be attained through thinking or doing, but through being. When you are fully present, the ego's grip loosens, and you can experience a state of inner peace and stillness. This is the essence of Tolle's teachings, that true liberation comes not from striving or achieving, but from simply being in the now. To sum up, the distinction between clock time and psychological time is crucial for understanding how you experience life. Clock time is a necessary tool for navigating the world, while psychological time is a mental construct that can lead to unnecessary suffering. By becoming more aware of how psychological time operates, you can begin to shift your focus away from past and future and towards the present moment, where true peace and contentment reside. This shift is not about rejecting time altogether, but about finding a balance that allows you to live fully in the now while still engaging with the practicalities of life. As you continue to explore these concepts, remember that the present moment is your anchor. It is where life happens, where you can find stillness amidst the chaos, and where you can connect with the deeper essence of who you are. The more you practice staying present, the more you will begin to see the illusion of psychological time for what it is, a construct of the mind that has no power over the reality of the now. And in this realization, you can find a sense of freedom and peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but that arises naturally from within. Finally, you will start to see through all of the illusions that the mind projects upon your experiences. This is experiential knowledge and not intellectual. And the more you see and understand about the true nature of reality, the more the grip of external circumstances, thoughts, and triggered emotions will loosen up. And as it does, you will find that you will perceive more and more of a calm, unchanging, stable presence within, and you will realize that this presence has been with you all along. You've just been too caught up in the illusion to notice it. You've now reached the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for your time.